back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Today, I am joined by the beautiful Nadia Lamin. How are you doing today, Nadia?
I am doing really good, Ken. Thank you. How are you?
I am doing amazing. For those of you that don't know, Nadia is an award-winning actress known for her roles in, I think, Chimera. Am I saying that right?
Chimera.
Chimera.
Mhm.
Nefarious, Dirge, and most recently, Hosts. Available now on Amazon Prime and for purchase. If you have not checked out Hosts yet, this is Host with an S, not Host, but Hosts. I strongly recommend you do so. I was lucky enough to have Adam and Richard on. I'm sure you guys seen that episode as well. These guys put a lot of time and effort into this film. Before we talk about that, though, you are an award-winning actress, and I believe it was for Chimera, you won Best Actress.
Yeah, yeah.
Congratulations on that. That is so cool.
Thank you so much. No, yeah, that was an amazing. That's actually the project that I met Richard on. So Richard Oakes, who's the co-director and DOP, I met him on that project because he was DOPing for another director called Patrick Ryder, and I'd co-written this short script with Patrick, and he was saying, "Oh, I've got this amazing guy. He's incredibly talented DOP. I think he'd be perfect because it's like a psychological thriller." And we were like, we want it edgy, we want it dark, and that's how we got to know Rich. And that, what can I say else?
Yeah. And it's another thing about you guys working together is when you watch Hosts, you really feel it is a family-oriented movie. I mean, it is a dark horror thriller, but it is family-oriented, and you can feel through the horror, you can feel the love of this family. And I really feel like when you have a movie that plays like that, it shows how tight-knit the cast was. And even now, you guys are still promoting. You guys were just in Spain. Congratulations on that. I'm sure that was a cool experience. And just seeing you guys all together laughing and joking and having fun, like, it really shows in the film how much fun you guys had with each other, because even though it's dark and suspense, you can always feel when there's that connection with the cast. You can always feel that there's that turmoil, or if you guys are really gelling. And Hosts is in my top 5 favorite films of 2020. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's a head smashing good time. And
yeah, it is. It is.
It's to the point to where, I mean, I was able to watch it through Amazon Prime. I still ordered the hoodie. I still ordered the Blu-ray. That's how much this movie meant to me. And Richard and Adam, they're such good guys. And the conversation I've had with you has really meant a lot to me. So before we started talking about your first horror movie, when it comes to Hosts, so can you tell us a little bit of the experience of filming that and what it was like?
Yeah, I mean, Hosts has got to be the best experience I've ever had as an actress on set. Not only because, it felt like I was on set with a bunch of my best mates, but the intensity and our belief in the project was what kind of sailed us through so smoothly. And I can't there's always kind of stories of people having a bad time or not getting on with people or someone being a bit of a diva, but none of that was on Host. It was an intense shoot. I can't lie about that. It was 2 weeks of really working your socks off, really working hard, and really long nights. So they were all night shoots, so we all felt nocturnal by the end of it. I bloodshot eyes, what's going on? There's a bird singing, you're like, no, what is this? Anyway. But for me, when I met the people who are playing my family members, so I didn't know many of those cast before. The only people I knew were Neil, Rich, and Adam, and Craig a little bit. And then it just kind of sang, when we got together. You feel like there's going to be a few kind of hiccups, but everyone knew their lines, and we were just smashing through the script, and we got on so well. So it's really nice to see that you have picked up on that and noticed, because we just had a ball at the end of the day.
I do find it very hard to believe, though, that Adam and Richard weren't divas.
I'm not allowed to say it, so I've signed an NDA, so don't.
One thing I want to bring up, I want to leave this as unspoilery as possible for the people that have not seen Hosts, but I want to emphasize this one more time. If you haven't checked this film out, you're doing yourself a disservice by not doing it. It is such an amazing film. And one scene that really is almost hard to watch that I don't hear enough people talking about is the attic scene. That scene, anybody that has siblings, that scene rips your heart right out of your chest. And it's so hard to sit there, and the impossible position that your character was put in there. I mean, it's literally just an impossible choice, you know. And I don't want to talk about what the choice is. Me and you will talk a little more when we're done rolling, so that way I don't spoil it for anybody. But as a brother who is absolutely head over heels in love with his brothers and sisters, it's one of those things where I couldn't fathom being in that type of position that you were put in that film, and how tight that scene really is. Was that a hard one to shoot, or?
That was the hardest scene I've ever had to shoot, for sure. Because I'm like you. My family are really close, and you know, as hectic and crazy as we all are in our like beautiful own ways, we're a family and we love each other. And the kind of turmoil for Lauren, who I play in Hosts, is something that you just never ever want on your head, ever. You never want to be having to make that decision. And even as an actress, to try and put myself in her shoes and kind of make that decision was still impossible. I think the way that we kind of shot it and we ran it, it was like really sensitive, and they were very like, conscious about how hard this scene was. So they were always making sure for me, and Lee as well, Lee, who plays my brother, who's also just incredible. And he was such an amazing person to act against with, it was great. And, but I think for me, that scene still gives me like the heebie-jeebies, like, cause it's tough.
And it's heavy, like it's emotionally heavy when you're watching it. Like, it's just one of those scenes where as you're watching, you're like, because I'm one of those people that when I watch film, I put myself in the film. And it's one of those scenes where you're watching this and you're still just like, I don't know what, I mean, it's so easy to watch a film and say, well, this is what I would do and blah, 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 blah. But if you're putting that in real life, what would I do in that situation? Because I don't know what I would do. And you guys playing off each other, the emotion you guys had with each other was brilliant. It's one of those scenes where you're encapsulated at this point, and you feel like you can't even blink. You're sitting there watching like this because you don't want to miss any part of this scene. So kudos to you. It was an amazing scene, an amazing film.
Thank you so much. That means the world. If I gave you that impression and you have that and you've taken that away, then like I feel that's I'm blessed for that. Thank you.
No, thank you, because you gave me an amazing movie to watch with my wife on a Friday night. So I am so appreciative of you guys. But the reason we are here today, love, is to talk about the first horror movie that you ever watched. And your first horror movie was?
Poltergeist.
Poltergeist. And it's funny enough, I think Poltergeist is the movie I talk about the most. For a while there, it was Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors. But really? Poltergeist is slowly coming around the bend, catching up on it. And it's one of those things where I don't mind it because I love Poltergeist, but I'm one of the people where I think Poltergeist 3 is my favorite of the bunch, but I do love Poltergeist, and I think that Poltergeist really started a whole wave of psychological, mystical thrillers. How old were you when you watched it? Do you remember?
I think I was probably like 6 or 7. I was really young. So I grew up in North Africa for the first part of my life. And I had older brothers. They were much, much older than I was. So I grew up on Indiana Jones, The Goonies, Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, like all of those cult like movies, and Star Wars, of course, So I remember sitting with my brother Nuri, watching Poltergeist for the first time, and I don't like it. Just kind of. I think it just really I completely related to the main little girl in some way. Carol Ann is her name, I think. Yep. Yeah. It was, I just love it. And like watching it again as an adult, you see so many things that other filmmakers have taken away from it, iconic stuff.
And there are scenes that I've talked about this on the podcast before when I've talked about Poltergeist, but I feel like it can't be understated. Kurt Cobain, guitar player and singer of Nirvana, said he knew that Nirvana was doing the right thing when Weird Al did a parody of one of their songs. He said that's when he knew they were onto something. And how many times have we seen Poltergeist not just parodied, but ripped off and just blatantly. I mean, that's when you know this film did something right, is because the amount of people that steal from it. So that's, to me, I always go back to the Kurt Cobain thing, because that really blew me away when I heard him say that. You know, like, I knew that we were onto something when a genius like Weird Al wanted to copy one of our songs, you know, make a parody. And that's something that's always stuck with me. And I feel like that's true. You know, it's the sincerest form of flattery, you know. So in Poltergeist, yeah, and Carol Ann Heather O'Rourke unfortunately passed away during the filming of Poltergeist 3.
Yeah.
And she is a bright star in these movies. Like, she is such a bright spot in these movies. And, you know, one of the first scares I remember having as a kid is they're here, you know.
Wow. Her intensity, like her facial expressions, like, and obviously she was so young filming that film, right? She wouldn't have seen all of those things that we see as an audience. Like, they would have kept that away from her, so she actually had to act that, pretend. Whoever was directing her, that, like, of course it was Steven Spielberg, but I don't know if there was someone else, like, or her mom or a chaperone was kind of like, you know, giving little like hints and stuff. But I just thought, like, that is like stellar. Like, you know, I'm just thinking, if I was like Steven Spielberg, like, finding this little kid, I'd be like, oh my God, you're incredible, you know? Like,
yeah. I threw a horseshoe and I rung it on the first throw. You know, it's perfect.
Yeah.
So which scene from Poltergeist affected you the most?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I'll say this, I rewatched it like today, by the way. And I think you saw, because on my Instagram, I
was like, I know why she's watching this.
It's just so, I mean, I had as much fun as I've watched it when I was a kid, like today. And the scene that definitely still affects me the most is when all of the stuff starts to happen for the first time, and like the closet opens and she's in her bedroom, and then the tree breaks into the room and grabs her brother. God, I'm spoiler alert right here, guys. Sorry. But
if they haven't seen the movie yet,
you gotta watch it. Exactly. So, and then, like, they're all, you know, the dad and the mum run outside, and she's alone upstairs, and she's holding on for dear life, like screaming for help. And no one's coming to her aid, because obviously something tragic is happening to her other brother, and they can't hear, but she's just alone. And I think that, for me, is like the thing that affects me the most. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's crying out for help and no one's there to help her. And it was just really sad.
And that's sad and scary as an adult, let alone as an 8-9-year-old girl who your parents are your one constant at this point, that have always been there to protect you, and they're not there when you're screaming for them. That I can't think of anything scarier than that.
No, and I mean, I can't even imagine watching that as a parent. So I'm not a parent yet, but you know, even I'm really close with, you know, my nieces and stuff, and I'm just thinking about them in that position, and no one hearing them cry for help. For me, it just gives me shivers, really.
It's paralyzing.
Yeah, for sure.
And do you they have Cursed Films on Shudder. Have you watched that yet by any chance?
No, I haven't. No.
You got to check it out. They have an episode on Poltergeist, and they talk about all the things that have happened, like the clown scene with the boy. They had a malfunction, and it was actually strangling him.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he got real hurt. And like, the reason why everybody says it's cursed, because the skeletons they used in the pool were real skeletons. Those were real. Yes.
Yeah, that is terrifying.
If you get a chance, watch Cursed Films. I've talked about this before, and I always want to put this disclaimer on there. If you watch the Twilight Zone episode, for you or anybody else, there is real death in the Twilight Zone episode. It shows a man and 2 kids for real being killed in an accident on set. So I want to throw that disclaimer out there. It's very hard to watch. It's heartbreaking. It's tragic. So if you guys watch Cursed Films and you are squeamish to death, the Twilight Zone episode has real death, not film death, real death, and it's hard to watch. So that disclaimer's out there. So just wanted to put that out there for everybody. It's hard. It broke my heart watching it as a father, as a husband. It's something very hard to watch and understand why something like that could happen. But Back to Poltergeist. Now that all the heavy stuff is done, when you think about Poltergeist, somebody brings up Poltergeist. What's the first thing that pops into your head?
I think I'm just going to say what everyone else says. The Carol Ann at the TV screen, hands up on the TV screen, and it like all, you know, it's kind of black and grey and white, and she's just looking up at it like that, and it's like the shot from behind, like that. To me, every time someone says Poltergeist, that's what comes into my head.
Brilliant. Yep. Okay, so we talked about which scene affected you the most. After a rewatch, what do you think your favorite scene from the film is?
Okay, so I love that the character actress, God, what's her name? She's like the medium, but she's like the pro medium who comes in later on. She's like a short little woman, and she's
Zelda.
Zelda. Yeah.
Carolina.
Oh my God, like she's incredible. She's incredible. I wish I could have had the chance to meet her. Bless her soul, she's not with us anymore either.
Yeah.
And like she is like, I think she's really funny. Like, and she brings a real, like, not lightness, but she brings a comic element to the situation almost. And when they open up the portal in the cupboard again, and the mum says, I want to go in and tie the rope around me. She's like, no, you've never done this before. This is what Zerelda says. And then the mum goes, but neither of you've never done this before. And she's like, oh yeah, I've never done this before. Yeah, you go. And that for me, it just is class. So that is my favorite scene.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I want to shift away from Poltergeist real quick. I want to throw you a little bit of a curveball here. We've been able to talk about your first horror movie. Now I want to go scream on you here. What's your favorite scary movie, Nadia? So what is your favorite scary movie, your favorite horror movie?
My favorite horror movie. Oh gosh. There's one that I love. Is it horror though? It's the one with Dakota Fanning and Robert De Niro, Hide and Seek. Is that more psychological thriller?
I mean, I can say, to me, horror is such a wide variety. I consider Alien a horror movie.
Yeah, I love Alien. I love
And
Alien.
a lot of people are like, oh, well, that's science fiction. No, man, that's literally a slasher in outer space. So, I mean, to me, horror can be, if it scares you, to me, honestly, I think there's horror scenes in comedy movies, to be honest with you. Like Pee-wee's Big Adventure, the Large Marge scene, that scared the dog shit out of me when I was a kid. Like, that was terrifying to me. So horror, I mean, hide and seek, I consider that horror. I mean, it's terrifying.
It's terrifying, right? I love that movie for all manners of performance, filming, cinematography, story, like completely messing with you. So, yeah, I'll go hide and seek.
There we go. And that's the first time I've had that answer, so I love it.
Love that too. Cool.
I always end these with the same question.
Sure.
We are going to go back to Poltergeist on a skull count. 0 being the worst, 5 being the best. Yes, you may use half and quarter skulls. What would you rank Poltergeist on a scale of 0 to 5?
I'm gonna go for a solid 4 1/4 skull.
There we go. We're cutting one skull in a quarter length. Got one eye socket.
I'm going to cut it in half, and then I'm going to cut it across, and then I'm going to take that bit and give you that.
There we go. That is so awesome. So, guys, like I said, if you have not checked Hosts out, as well as some of our other films, I got a lot of links down here in the description. Make sure you're checking them out. They work their asses off, and especially right now, I know during a pandemic, things are scary, things are hard, but we could still be entertained because these guys did their job. So make sure you're checking it out. Show them all the love in the world. Nadia, don't go anywhere. I got a couple more questions for you. Everybody else, keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.
Thanks, guys. Bye.